and let's kick off. So, hi everyone, it's Adam and Ash here from Fresh Egg. And today we're really excited to be looking into how there is a shifting landscape at the moment with enterprise CMSs. And we're going to be particularly focusing on the composable world today. So, we're really happy. We got Mats joining us from Umbraco. And we are going to dig deeper today to see why every CTO in 2026 needs to have Umbraco on their radar. So, to kick off, Mats, I think we should start with a very difficult question. How are you feeling?
Oh,
Difficult
how I'm
one?
feeling. Do we have an hour? Yeah.
We have an hour.
It's a complex question. No, I'm very, very good. I am excited. As I usually say, I'm privileged to have the opportunity to lead and run Umbraco. I'm just coming back from 2 weeks of touring in Australia and New Zealand, which gives me just so much energy. We are all around the globe in one shape or the other, which is just impressive. So I am in a very good mood, which could be, if you ask my wife, could also be good and bad. But we'll see where this pans out.
So I hear on the grapevine that not only are you recognized as one of the most attractive CEOs in this sector, Mats,
Your word.
but also I hear that you're recognized as being the friendliest. So is there any truth in that?
Uh, I let on my good looks. That's your words, Adam. But of course, I've learned to live with it. No, jokes apart. On the other part, the friendliness is actually a little bit more serious than sense. The little bit short story to it is when I was approached by a headhunter saying that there's an opportunity with a company called Umbraco, I googled it and I found that there's the friendly CMS. Quite actually a little bit suspicious. Who are you to tell me that you're friendly? That is for me to judge, right? You put yourself on pretty high chairs and put your head out there to say, I'm friendly. You have to live up to that. That's quite a strong statement. And I talk to everyone, and I just came out this morning from I meet all the new employees coming in a talk, and I talk about this and the experience that I had, and everyone else coming in with Umbraco, and also people working with it. Yes, we are truly friendly. We're able to stand out in that sense, and we use that. There were a seminar. My marketing manager, she had a seminar in the US last week about what does it mean to be friendly when you stand out today. In all the buzz that everyone's out there trying to get attention to it, it's a word that stands out. So we love to be called the friendly CMS. We love to take that challenge. And yes, I am perceived as friendly, but the most important thing is that the rest of the people, all entire Umbraco is perceived as being friendly. And it's a word that resonates around the globe. Everyone, there's not, there's difficult with certain taglines to fit its purpose around the globe, but it does. So yes, we take it seriously, and we are perceived as friendly. But our core value is also about we like to have fun and being friendly, but we're dead serious about our job. So it's not that we are, not to be anything else than professionally friendly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'd echo that. I mean, look, we've seen it, and especially within the community of Umbraco,
yeah.
it's a very unique and brilliant gift to have as an organization. So look, over the past few years, the market for CMSs has definitely evolved, and there is this demand for enterprise CMS. How do you think that's now landed at the doorstep of Umbraco?
Mhm. Yeah, we launched what we called Umbraco for Enterprise, which is a package solution just to address that. But I'm quite direct also with saying that we're basically not moving anywhere. We're not abandoning our mid-market or small or anyone that. It's easy when you launch something, people start going, oh, does that mean that we're not going to do that? No, we're still doing that. But the fact is that when enterprises and partners with bigger projects are knocking on our door, we need to be able to respond to that. one of the feedback that we got from an analyst were that, well, you can't really say that because you're a toolbox and you don't have any commerce capabilities. And we got nuts on that. Of course we do. We have our commerce platform, the add-ons. So it's perception of us. And it's also interesting when we talked about this, I met up with a number of UK partners, and two of them said, well, I don't get it. We're already doing this. We have a number of sites. We've been doing enterprise solutions, big sites with a lot of complexity in it for years. But we need to communicate it in a way because, yes, to it, as you say, there is a shift in the market. There is what is the necessity? What are the demands for a bigger enterprise today with integrations and all that? Do you have to go for a big suite, big package, high license costs, and all those things? Or is it actually with AI and the way development is now unfolding, vibe coding and all that? Are there other platforms that comes into play and be more relevant? And that's where we are. So yes, we are packaging that. We communicate with the market in a clearer way that we are enterprise ready, and we've been for quite a while actually.
Yes.
Great.
Ash?
Yeah. So obviously, like Umbraco's traditionally been known as that flexible, really developer-friendly platform that you can build whatever you need to on. What's changed in recent years, do you think, to make it that more credible enterprise level CMS?
Well, there are certain things that, of course, is in there. The whole performance parts of it that you ensure that. But it's always been we have not been flexible and build what you want, how you want it, on the expense of performance, scalability, headless. We've been headless. There's a lot of headless applications or installations out there that we've been implementing on top of our product. The scalability with our cloud is also there to the extent that we can run extremely heavy. In Australia, we run emergency, or in New Zealand, the emergency warning systems, which is when it needs scales up to enormous workload when something is happening. So those are there. Those solutions are there. So it hasn't been on the expense. I think it is a communication thing. The DNA of Umbraco has over the years been that we make an open source available for the community, and then it will be spread around there in a friendly way. What we've been sharpening it up a little bit now is just to communicate what we're actually capable of doing, working with our partners so that the perception of Umbraco is the correct one, because perception is everything. And we'll get to that a little bit later on open source and all that. So what we're actually addressing is the perception of it and make it clear what you're able to do and build that. And I think the perception in the market is also realizing that you don't need to have a pre-configured system. We will talk about a little bit later what is an enterprise. But typically, if you believe we are an enterprise, I'm big, this is complicated, therefore we need a big system. We need a big. Back in the days, right? If you choose IBM, no one will fire you because we need that.
Yeah, of course.
And that was people now. And I think what is different now, AI is coming in, the way questions. You know, on the other end of this discussion, there are people saying, why do you even need a CMS system at all? Why do you need an agency? You can build this in Lovable in 5 minutes. I can build that web page. I can do that in 5 minutes. We know it. Everyone on the call here knows that, well, that's the front end. Yes, you could do that if it's just pictures and other. But as soon as it gets a little bit more complicated, that doesn't work. But it's a trend in the market. People are questioning, how do we actually build and build that digital experience? So we still, flexibility is there. Build what you want, how you want it. But it's not a development platform. It's still a system and a platform that has extension. That's where the flexibility comes in, and where the AI comes in as a very suitable thing is also there. So I think we are the market is changing, and we are getting clearer in our communication what we're capable of doing.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that from our side, that shift really. And when we combine those composable foundations that we work from, combine that with Umbraco headless APIs, we're able to deliver those high performance, real-time intelligent experiences that are secure and sustainable as well, really.
Yeah.
And it is that perception. So if you were a CTO today, what do you think are some of the biggest concerns that you'd need to address when looking at a new CMS? You're going to invest the time, new CMS that is going to last you the next 5 years. what do you think are some of the biggest concerns that a CTO might have to consider?
Well, first of all, the CTO needs to talk with the CMO also, so that it's not just a technology thing, right? It is it's
Absolutely.
an enterprise decision to go for this. Uh, I think it is first and for all, which is so hard, but try to go beyond the perceptions of what you perceive to actually understand what is needed now in this landscape as it is. And I'm back to this again, as I said, the perception, and maybe touching upon that first. What is an enterprise? There could be huge corporations that have a pretty basic digital experience or a digital channel due to the nature of what they do and how they do.
Mm.
They're not an enterprise from a digital experience, from a DSP's perspective. You can have a pretty small business where they relies 100% on the whole digital channel for all their sales and the way they bring in members and statuses and all those, which easily, as you know, right, the way you design and work on it becomes a pretty complex thing, which is an enterprise part. So I see there's not a strict correlation between the size of the company and the complexity of the website. So that's the first thing. What is our demands? And put that into perspective. And don't overdo it and don't downplay it either. Try to open up what are the opportunities. So first and for all, what can we be from where we are today? How can we drive a better digital experience? How can we acquire more customers, longer engagement? I mean, these things that you are the experts on. What happens if we can bring in all this documentation, put in AI on top of it, which means that you will then be able to serve, deliver, and make smarter decisions and higher engagement, drive more acquisitions through the channel. That is what you first start off with. And with that, what is then the system required for that? How do you get to that? And that's where the clear trend is. And this is not us pushing this just because we are on that side. We see a tailwind, and I can feel it, that companies now realizing maybe that doesn't require that big system. That was previously the only one that could fix this. Because now with the composability, the integrations perspectives, the way subsystems and underlying systems are more communicated, and that there is a solution like ours, like Umbraco, that have all the integrations, the commerce capabilities, the personalization, we'll maybe get back to that later on, the workflow, the performance, the hosting, the ISO 27000 certification, just to mention one thing, check off that box, right? The SOX 2, check off on that. Security, yes. Pen test, check, all those things, right?
Mm.
Then on the back of that, develop what you need. Not having an IT provider telling you this is the way you're going to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's a lot of configuration to set up. You don't have out of the box. That statement we heard for so long. There are no out of the box as soon as complexity, configurations and all that. Then you start building webhooks and hooks in there, and then you do circumvent. And suddenly you've developed something that is not maintainable, but you pay a fortune for it. Here, you do that in a structured manner.
I mean, you've covered a lot of things there, but in terms of ticking the boxes on all of the things that apply for us with our clients when they're looking at an enterprise solution. So when we're talking enterprise, I guess for us, it would be those bigger, more complex websites that might be from £200,000 to £1 million budget. And it isn't just a decision of the CTO, it's how this website performs within a marketing environment as well. So being able to use all of the different best in class products to make sure that, you know, we're beyond these static websites. We're beyond the days where a marketing team could fix all their problems by just turning up the dial with more Google AdWords. You know, I think the market is reaching this kind of ceiling of affordability where paid search, where 90% of the budget historically would have gone on paid search. And, you know, we can't just spend more and more to be able to hit targets. So all of the things that have been on the agenda for many, many years, whether it is improved performance through conversion rate optimization, where you've got products like Engage or other products as well that you can use for personalization and audience segmentation. We need to make sure that every click to that website can perform. And if you think about how long we've been talking about personalization, for the past 10 years, it's probably been on people's radars, but it's still very, very rare to find examples where there is robust, long-lived personalization strategies that have been embedded for years and that are working to their max, and there's no more room.
I,
People.
I Yeah, I can top that. I
Yeah,
mean, this, as I usually say, I'm not old, but I've been around. It's 20 years, Adam, that we've
yeah.
talked about. First time I heard about personalization is back in the heydays of e-business, starting off in 2002, 2003.
Mm,
The short story is, well, it's not that short, but we got time. Yeah. So anyway, um, Co-op, retailer, food retailer in Sweden, where we have to get on the internet. If we're not there in 6 months, we're all going to die. That was the notion. So everyone, reference to AI hype now, but that was the hype. Everyone needs to be. So they were to develop a huge delivery center in the middle of Sweden. They're going to do food delivery on the food because no one's going to go to any shop anymore and buy grocery. Everyone's going to buy it online. So we were there, PwC consultant. I was a smart junior consultant I had a tie and suit, and we were there. And this crazy guy showed up from Co-op and said, well, sorry, I'm being late, but this, all this. Of course, the whole site needs to be personalized. I remember it. I know the conference we were in. I know the building we're in Stockholm. I just got what is that? So, okay, let me make this clear. What is it all about? If I'm entering in and get into the site and I feel like an Apple, the whole site should be configured according to that. I know we made notes. We came out of it and debrief after the meeting. We all looked at each other and said, what is that? What is personalization? What would be with the Apple? Did you get that? That was his way of explaining it. The whole project died, not because of the Apple or that we failed. It was just that it wasn't mature enough. Fast forward 20 years, we still go to the shop and Sweden hasn't taken off when it comes to home delivery and all that. But personalization is still there. As
mm,
you say, there are horrifying statistics about how these projects never get to the endpoint.
mm,
90% of all personalization projects within one of our competitors, we don't talk too much about them, but it's
mm,
too complicated. It's overwhelming. We've all been there, right? There's a design workshop, post-its, just write it up. You end up on great stuff. At the end of the day, you end up with 13 different personas. Great stuff. Let's go. And the killer is really at the end of someone says, what about all our third-party data that we get from our marketing campaigns? Wouldn't that be possible to get in there so we can sort out of that? So we have the whole path to conversion into it. Yeah, let's spread that in too, right? Working after it, start contacting IT marketing department. That data is with the media agency, and we can't get hold of that. That's impossible. The IT department says, well, that content, you start looking at the content and realize you need to divide this into 13 pages. How does that work? Well, we need to do a content re-engineering because there's so many old data in there, and the whole thing is delayed.
mm,
What we do, and with our Engage product, it is dumb it down. Personalization for real. It starts off, and you start off small. Just start off saying, should we divide it into two personas? New and existing customers, technicians or finance, coffee or tea, or a third one. Then we can show what are the things we show and make it reasonable. Okay, if there's a coffee lover, see to that coffee brands are coming forward, or new. This is promotions of it. Track it. Get the valid reports out, not 1,000 reports you can't read anything out, just performance. Who visited sites? What is actually the path? How do people perform? Where do they visit? And do A/B testing, not
mm,
A, B, C, and D testing, because then you're testing 4 things at the same time. You don't know what you get out of it. That has been a tremendous success because it brings some sense into it. Because many of our customers, many of them have been through these projects and they get relieved of saying, finally, this is exactly what we want. Then we grow with that. You have the reports, everything it's a very advanced system. And we're working on first party data, so it's within our system. So we get performance, the Google analytics, you don't know what you get and what you're looking at. And are we measuring the right things here? The trend is there. What is this? And it's just upside down. So I think it's, again, hyped for 20 years. You said 10. I topped it with, of course, a double up, 20 years.
yeah.
And now finally we get to something to real. And this is along with the hype around AI and enterprise, what we need and all that, dumb it down. What are the best things we can do? What are the performance improvements we can do when we work? How would that work? So yeah, my recommendation to CTOs, and they're the one word, Dama, what is our really needs? And that could be look like a simple set of it, but if we get this to work, we're going to drive this performance, which is great.
And look, you said a load of other things. The reason I said 10 years, I didn't want to give away my age, Mats, but I guess we're in a similar bracket, aren't we? But yeah, as much as 20 years ago.
Which one do you take? Which one do you take? Do you take the 45 to 70, or is it the 18 to 44? Which one do you take, Adam?
I wish it was 18 to 44. Unfortunately not.
Thankfully, I can just about sneak into that group.
But yeah, all of those things, and we've spoken about a lot, but the flexibility to be able to do A/B testing, personalization, hooking in first party data, the fact that you got an MCP, you got an API, you can
Oh,
do
yeah.
you can do headless. It's got the flexibility. It's a composable platform. You can use the products. There's lots of innovation coming from Umbraco at the moment. You mentioned Engage. You've also got products coming out like Connect, Compose. Thank you.
We have an education piece here. I can hear that. So but it's connecting. It's good. You're on the right path.
I was on the right path.
Yeah.
But all of these things play into it, and having a platform that we briefly spoke about AI, but an agent-ready platform, you've got the flexibility to do whatever you want from an AI perspective, which is great.
Yeah. Let me. Now I took a breath here, and you got me going. So on the compose, you said there, this is composability. The nature and the DNA of Umbraco is we're not the first one that coming out there, because we have the community. And I know when I talk to Emma, who's my team responsible for our development relationships, the team, we have 6 people there that are just facilitating and helping the community, which is so dear to us, and it's our superpower. I said to her, well, I'm used to taking a little bit of a marketing stunt, cut a corner and say we can do that. And she got completely blank and said, don't do that, because if we do that, you will get the community against you. If we start making, statements of things we are able to do, which we're not, the whole community will just say, I don't recognize this anymore. We need to be true to that. And that is unique, actually. I've been in the situation. I know our competitors are doing that. It's a part of the software vendor. You over-exaggerate a little bit the capabilities, what we can do, how we can do it. We can. And we're not the first movers. We do it solidly. So when it comes to composability, we've been evaluating. Yes, it's been API first. You could build connectors, all that, and we've seen that. But we need to address that in a proper way. So together with the community, we've had a thorough design request for comments. We have had a steering group or an advisory board for that. And now we have delivered and launched in the winter keynote, we had the Compose product. And that is, a way to describe that is that in any projects you do, you create more or less all the time, every case you bring some kind of information layer. You do it in the CMS, or you build something in a search, or you do anything, you extract data because you need to access it. Yes, we get data from this system, or this system could be only 1 or 2 systems. You load it into the CMS, or you use the search engine, you build some kind of bespoke information layer. This is what Compose is about. And it's built upon GraphQL, which is a standard way of searching and be able to query, both ingest and then extract from it. It is all cached data using Cloudflare with a super fast delivery. So all those things are checked on that. But the thing is, you get an accessibility to an information layer that is as if it were in the CMS, accessible to the left, where you can see Compose, and there's the data. Gives also that you have the opportunity to have, for example, Algolia or any search engine directly accessing that data, which makes it high performance. So you extract data, or you ingest data from it, and then you access it from there. A very powerful platform, but it's also important to say what it's not, because I got a feedback when we presented it, said, well, we already work with an API layer. It's not an API layer. It's not a message hub. When you want to update a product, there's a procedure to do that in the product information system or a digital asset management or the ERP system. That's not the way you do. But we create composability that doesn't jeopardize and on the behalf of the editorial experience. They work as this were in the CMS, and that's the power of it. We are loved by two categories of people. It's the editors and it's the developers. And this creates both of it. The way you can extract and maintain that data, and the way you can access it through the CMS and from an editorial perspective. What we've seen Composable regret, which is something we've seen, is that it's been on the behalf of the editors. You build a perfect architectural, Mac Alliance and all those things, right? But the editor says, well, I mean, this looks nice, but previously at least I can update these things. I can access that. Now it takes, I mean, if I'm going to change this now, I need to get a full army of people in here, including backend developer. There's an infrastructure. There's one guy from coming that I don't know where he is from, but he has an opinion about how we integrate with these things. So there were perfect IT structures, but it was on the behalf. So we, again, I don't think Philip, my CTO, would agree with me when I say that we dumb it down, but it's composability for real. And that's the DNA of Umbraco. Maybe a little bit late to the game, but how people are picking this up now, and especially also, now I get going here, the way we can flexibility see how we integrate, because you can seamlessly move from one or the other, because it's a matter of just ingesting data, and you do that as a script. So if you have a unique identifier from a PIM, for example, coming, you're going from a Google sheet into a PIM, you just decide which source to ingest. The front end doing the same query, they don't care. They don't care where it's coming from. So we've changed that. That is composability, where you can do that extraction layer where the underlying systems and their structure is not exposed to the front end.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen that trend. And like being able to just pop those best-in-class tools in and out, make those decisions, move faster. It's I think, and then like I say, just keep scaling, but always having that central source of content truth. And
one thing that's important here today is also it doesn't solve world hunger, so it's not that of a big. One thing that doesn't solve either, which is my experience, is data quality. Right? So then data architects and data science spend 80-90% of their time just on data quality. So of course, when you start integrating into it, but normally in these projects, you're not asking for a lot. If you want to integrate with the CRM system, you just want the client data, you want the address, you would have a couple of fields, 4 or 5 fields. And here's the beauty also of it, that I can see a potential here, that a lot of projects as you see them are stranded because the IT department, that's a classic one, right? You sit in, you have a great meeting with the web teams and all that, and say, yeah, we just need to talk to the IT department. And suddenly everything's go, oh, okay, here we go. And they come in and say, nothing. We're changing CRM system. I know it's just not part of your part, but nothing. We have code freeze across the organization. Nothing will move. With this, you will be able to say, doesn't matter which system you have, just send me those 4 things for each one. Query you with that. Then when you're ready with your new CRM system, we just get those 4 parameters from the new system and seamlessly working on that. So you can get that dependency out of the way. That will be a lovely example if we get there.
Yeah. And I do think there is a trend at the moment in terms of data, the accessibility of data, the importance of first-party data. There's 2 things to that. One, you're completely correct. We don't need much data to be able to do some really interesting, exciting, intelligent things. You know, from a personalization perspective, whether we're still doing the essentials, the kind of basics, but even when we start looking at some of the more advanced stuff, it's just having access to the right data. And sometimes too much data can then confuse things, and results statistically often get more difficult to achieve statistical significance if you're overcomplicating it. But I do see there being definitely with the event of AI and more work being centered around AI and progression with AI, data is becoming better, definitely. The importance of data is being risen up. And I think with AI, you put not good stuff in, you get not good stuff out. It's all about the quality of data. So the better the data, better in, better out. So hopefully that trend's just going to continue.
You and I, Adam, had a very interesting discussion about how do you have the marketing, as you said earlier, the campaigns that has been run, and all that that's going through in that side of the industry with third-party cookies, targeting, real-time bidding, all those things, right? Which is all led to what we now have with the targeting and the ambitions back then when we started. I was in that industry and the technology there. This will solve any problem there is. Problem is that it's about a terabyte of cookies gathered on an hourly basis. There's so many of them. How do you cut through that? There's some lessons learned there. But of course, that link into now, as you earlier said, dynamically build based upon who's coming in and what we know about them to ensure that that becomes, will the whole site become a banner? No, but the dynamics there, and keep it simple in the way so that you get an achievement. And this is more to it. This is what you expect nowadays, right? I mean, how often
And
do you get frustrated?
we're seeing it on almost every week now. Briefs coming in where people are identifying the fact that, the marketing has got more expensive, it's got more competitive. The last lever left for these organizations to pull is controlling the conversion of their site. So it's all about building the performance and improving the performance on the website and the associated web journeys around that. So since we last spoke, we're actually just about to, unfortunately, a couple of weeks too late for the Umbraco Awards. But in a few weeks' time, we are launching the new Fresh Egg website, which has been built on Umbraco. But because of the composability of Umbraco, it's allowed us to develop, effectively, it's a contextual bandit. So we are developing, which we've called Ape, by the way. But yeah, we are launching our first site that will adapt, optimize in real time based on the context, based on the data that we can give it. So I'm really excited about what that means for us over the next 12 months. But these things possibly wouldn't have been possible, a couple of years ago. But with the data improving, with the composability, with AI, with the API, with MCPs, all of these exciting, intelligent experiences we can now build. So I can't wait to tell you more about that when it's launched in a few weeks' time.
Sounds great. And I want to put that into perspective also because you're in the cutting edge there, you're in the forefront there. But also, is this just a hype? No. I mean, this is what you expect. I mean, just look back on a normal user on a day, right? You are in one way or another being targeted or asked to go from one site to another and in order to do something, right? And then you just get on. You're supposed to be, there's nothing. You start from scratch when you get to the link, you fill in this or whatever, and then you're at the starting page. Where the hell do I go from there? You lose things through that chain. So as a user, you're expecting things to be set up that you continue your journey or being based upon what is my needs in there. And if not, search needs to be, and you have such a high demands on search now with AI and all that. So if you can't apply a proper search on your website, you're smoked because we have no patience. If you don't get what it is and you just say, and some of them are ridiculous, the way you can't get, and so it's basics, but it needs to be addressed. So again, back to the CTO, focus on the basics, focus on what journeys, what are the customer journey that you do in there, and get that basics, search, personalization, because it's expected. It's not a fancy, nice to have. This is what customers expect, and you will lose out. People will leave. There's no patience for it. And I can testify, you know that too, right? That's what you expect.
So getting back to some of the more boring things, so not quite intelligent experiences and personalization and real-time adaptation of sites, but in terms of some of the risks that people might have to consider when they're looking at a new enterprise CMS. I mean, seeing Umbraco launching Umbraco Enterprise, I was really excited to see that. But there's been lots of advances recently, your ISO accreditation, the fact that you are an open source platform, but you have the support available and the SLAs available now that if an organization wants that insurance of paying for support, they can have that now with you guys. So can you talk to us a bit more around, that support, the security, the governance, a little bit of that journey?
Yeah. First and foremost, as it is, we are commercially backed open source. It's commercially vetted. Nothing gets released without we being vetting it together with the community. We are very tight coupled with the community, so we know who's there and what their contributions and all that. So from a security perspective, that is a guarantee. But even if we were arguing that a true or an open source that do not have that commercially backed, it's still a very secure. Open source in general, across the world, any application, any industry with it, is not less secure. It's even more secure than other softwares. That could be tons of articles been written about that, whether it's more secure, that could be argued, but it's definitely in par with the security. The thing is with open source also, it's not about democracy, it's about transparency. And security is about transparency also. Any software vendor that says we've had no challenge, no disruptions, no security leaks, they're lying. We're transparent about the security patches we do and the support we give around it together with the community. So we are on a very high standard on security, but we do security patches and we do see security challenges coming as it is. So that's one thing, just being trustworthy on that. On the support level, it is that there are customers that want to have an assurance that we support the product, and we do deliver that as a part of the enterprise solution together with our partners. Because sometimes the partners takes a first line support and then need a back-to-back agreement, and the customer wants to see that. Sometimes there is a direct agreement because they want to ensure that if the partner or the integration partner, in some sense, been shifted out, they have a dual strategy as it is. So this is all up to it, and we can respond to that. We have now 24/7 support available since we're around the globe as it is. We have a support organization that I could purely statistically, looking at the numbers coming out of that, it's world class. And it's just not me being a CEO and proud of my organization. This is just the facts. We get about 14,500 to 15,000 tickets a year. The number of we can sort out already with an AI is impressively high, and the quality of it. The statements in the NPS is coming out that it is just world class. 6% is escalated to second level. So we have a very solid support organization, which I focused on to ensure that we increase that standings internally and externally, and we tell that story because it's been a well-kept secret. On top of that, you have the entire community. Those are the experts of how to implement, which I know you guys are part of. So when you run into really difficult implementation thing, we are not the one to consult because you're the experts of how to implement and build on top of Umbraco. And then the whole community there and the support levels there, the willingness to help is just enormous. So yes, as a totality there, we are a very well supported and helpful organization.
And that community is truly unique. I can't think of another instance where I've seen something similar, where genuinely you can be in a room of competitors, which ultimately we are, but everyone helps one another out.
Yeah.
And it's slightly bizarre that it can work in that way, but it does.
The reason for that is that we are not a big corporation. We're 170 people, 33 nationalities. We're around the globe as is. We wouldn't be able to have such a mature system being enabled in enterprises, talking to these partners and end clients in the way, if we weren't for the community. There's thousands and thousands of hours that's gone into the development of this by this community. So it's a superpower of ours. And the way we also, and so we treasure it. And I'm always nervous, which Emma knows, that I'm going to say something that's going to piss off the community. It's like we have this code guarding party every year, and I just wanted everyone needs to come. It's like friends. It's just what happened if I wake up one day and they all break up with me. But Emma said, "Rest assured, Mats, you're saying sometimes a little bit crazy stuff, but you're among friends." So I get less nervous since I've now been here a while. But in the beginning, I was just, how do they know that we love them so much? But I think we are doing a good business thing. Good.
because it is priceless. You
Yeah.
can't just buy that.
No.
It's priceless.
The thing is, on the community, to say another word on that, of course, it's changing as everything is evolving. Back in the days, version 4, 5, 6, I don't know if you were around there. Code Garden was more just get here and code because it doesn't work. I mean, hack it through. I mean, there's bugs from here to the moon, and the stability was better. Now, as a lot of community members say to me, and when I talk to them, that there's less bugs. I mean, it's more stable. But what is more is strategic discussions. Where are we heading? Helping the compose again, commerce, the engage. So it's all about that. Also helping out on cloud. But where we see a renaissance and where the engagement from the community will pick up in 2026 is AI and AI plugins and adoption. We haven't talked about our AI strategy. We should do that before we leave.
Yeah.
Again, there we open up. Instead of our competitors closing it, the features internally, we open up. Build what you want, how you want it. You heard that for years. Now we just add AI.
Definitely, it's a real superpower, isn't it?
Yeah, there we will see. So we have a new category at Code Garden, which is the most AI adopted and the package to it. We have an AI community team. We have an AI community advisory board. That's where I see things going to pick up. And that's where we see AI is coming in for real. Because we haven't got there yet. Because some competitors and some other system vendors out there say they cracked it, and here's the AI capability. We are clear to it, and it's in our winter keynote also, is that this is only the beginning. And with that, sunshine is coming in, the AI light is
there it is.
like Jesus here, right?
We're really excited by it, and really excited to see what we can build on top of it. And I think that is it, that kind of, and it's just that composability once again, isn't it? Like, I need to solve a problem. I'm not being shoehorned into, you must use this solution. I can build out my AI solution however I need to see fit, really. So yeah, it's great. We're not being.
And here's a piece of recommendation for the CTO, CMOs, and others, because they are demanding. And you get this in all. If it's still there, everything needs to be composable. As someone said to me, they don't know what it is, but they're still in there. But there's a lot of confusion with the composability. We cover that. Personalization, we cover that also. And now, of course, all the sites needs to be AI developed or AI enabled, and they don't really know what it is. That's where things, and it's a clear. I read a lot of papers around this. 2025 was demoing, vibe coding. People are seeing sexy demos, but nothing went into production because there's a thing of looking at this. Yeah, okay. But then, okay, so you tell me that this is going to be done, translated and donos and all that without me. That's a little bit based on what? We all know when we first experienced when ChatGPT was utterly wrong, right? So how do we guarantee that when the LLM tells me that this is the way to translate this, what do we ensure that we have the right data quality, the right LLM? So what will happen now, and that happened with the internet too, small bits and bobs, small things that is controlled, that is within an enterprise efficiency. We have the example of creating meta texts, for example, small task, but tedious. It's just, the meta text and all of those. Here, AI, suggestion. Here's 3. We're putting up now, so you get 3 examples, and which one do you think better? This one. See SEO text, geotags, those things that are tedious things, but it's small bits and bobs.
The list is endless, isn't it? Accessibility.
Yeah, I was going to say,
accessibility.
All tags on images,
all those things. Accessibility, it's important, but it's just tedious, right?
Compliance.
Don't know. Updated pages. And we created the opportunity for you as a strategic partner to your customers to discuss that and help them with that. Find those bits and bobs, because what they can do then, they can go upstairs and say, yeah, our new website is AI enabled. It's not going to rock the world. It's not that we're going to change everything. It's not as AI says, but we started small. And from there on, there will be more things coming. Composability. What about then talking the bigger picture with someone that is, we always stuck with the legal requirements. When we are to build something, we are deploying that into 67 countries with all legal requirements. It's a tedious process. It takes like 6 weeks to get them to approve this small little thing that we just want to add. What if you could have it that compiled into? You have an AI engine on top of it. You file in You just drop in the specification for it. The AI will analyze. You have reasons with it. Will this be approved? And you get to a point where the legal department will say, yeah, we believe that. But you can hear the change management. Where's the data? How do we get it in? How do we get the legal department to accept this? What is the LLM to be used? Do we need an LLM that can solve world hunger at all times? No, we need an SLM, small language model that only can do that legal requirement. Those are the evolution we'll see. But that won't happen, well, by midsummer. It will be throughout the year, into 2027. It starts small.
And is that the main part of the roadmap moving forward, or is there more things to consider? But I should imagine with all of the things that we just spoke about there is a lot to get our heads around. There's a lot to do in terms of
it's opportunity. We give you an opportunity to discuss this. And the interesting thing, I got yesterday a case out of Netherlands where a customer that's on one of the big ones, competitors are, and they said, well, we're on this and we're not using this. 2 weeks later, they came back and said, we have had these discussions internally. Your AI strategy is the reason for us to move. We've looked upon you before, but your AI strategy is the reason for it, because we get locked in there. They are late to it, and they're defining all the cases for us. And I don't blame them, because I've been on that side also. Being a big features, you need to be additional functionality, you need to build it in, and all those things, right? But for us, our strategy, and we couldn't take any other strategy either. So I don't want to say that we invented it. This is the openness, open source. We don't monetize on our AI. We make it a higher adoption. And we all had a case here that someone that's going to transform or transition into our system. That's what our AI platform is about. And we couldn't do anything different. What if we start, building something no, it wouldn't have worked. So it's all along with that.
So we are beginning to reach the end of the session. If anyone's got any questions, please put them in the chat. We have had a couple of questions that were posted to us beforehand, which I can go over. I'm just trying to work out the things that we might not have spoken about, Mats. I guess in terms of some real world examples of enterprise level Umbraco implementations, there's lots of case studies on the website. I immediately think of Renault. I've seen Thames Water recently. We've worked on some of the larger enterprise implementations of Umbraco in the UK. I think the Agria website was particularly interesting and a great project for us. But have you got any other examples of world-class enterprise level implementations?
Yeah, there are. As I said earlier on, we've been doing this for quite a long time. We just realized that we need to communicate things better. And that is a transition that we're into. Recently also looking at in New Zealand, the whole emergency alarm system. They have earthquakes and tsunamis. It's a different part of the world, to put it that way. That is a site that has not very much traffic unless something happens. Yeah. Then it explodes. Yeah. So it becomes a highly integrated, and then it's the speed, the flow in there is very complex. Ensure that is everything is communicated correctly. The whole part of what they are looking at now is that one, they can take over all outdoor commercials, and through, it's not us driving it, but we communicate what needs to be. So we are the center of the whole emergency communication, right? And then reaching on text. And now they're looking into also, is there an opportunity to take over all websites, get a banner, get into that area so that you communicate, because it needs to be. The faster it goes, the more lives is to be saved. That is a key thing. Is that an enterprise? It's just a high load. It's a very complex thing. There are sources, there's a workflow into that. Comes to mind. The other ones that you mentioned here, similar to Thames Water and all that, nothing happened. But if they're, as UK Power Networks,
yeah.
not a lot of traffic. I mean, there's until there's a power outage. Then there's more traffic than Google. And they have one question: when is the power getting back?
Mhm.
Is that a complex? Yes, it is. So everyone is unique. I can see enterprise examples of memberships. It's not a high traffic, but well, you see, we got the membership base there. So when the commercial solution is more that you have you on the back of the membership things, you're allowed to do this, and then you have to pay on that. But then you get credits because so the whole commerce, it's not a high volume, but it's still tailored. Then we need to integrate that because the level of completion of the courses you've done and the certifications needs to be kept there. Then it suddenly become pretty complex. How many members are there? About 5,000. Okay. Are there a lot of traffics? No, but each and every one, and the value we can bring to that comes complexity into. So what is an enterprise is not based upon the number of visitors or a general one. It's what you drive. What's the digital experience? And there I can only see that it's so different. That means that there are no out of the box solution that can address this. Therefore, you need the complexity. Oh, did you hear that? That was a slogan. Hallelujah.
Well, I remember the UK Power Networks example and the fact that it has to accommodate a massive surge of traffic. If I remember on that one, that was also a headless implementation. And there's other good benefits coming out of that. So, the environmental impact is another key thing that has been spoken about over recent years. And I do remember on the UK Power Networks example, there was a carbon saving because of the headless infrastructure, and we saw similar on Agria. So that is a headless.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that rings home. And that was a really good thing, I think, for us with Agria. They were really keen on reducing their carbon footprint. We obviously saw value in that, not just from reducing, because if you reduce your carbon footprint, and we did that by about 59% reduction in CO2 on that site, which I think is about the equivalent of 215 kilometers of driving a month, which is not to be, shaken. But we also saw that just by thinking about those sort of things, we saw performance gains in the website instantly because you're reducing the sizes of your images, you're thinking about what scripts you're putting in the page and what video is included, and all of a sudden you kind of like you've got this nice thing of reducing CO2, but it's helping with conversion as well.
And here, having that thinking already getting into the AI landscape, because soon, and it's already my daughters, they don't use ChatGPT because it's it's consumes. It's rumors of being ruin the world because you consume so much data power as it is. So that will come into play here now. Why would you spend millions of tokens for something that you can do in a local SLM? Back to that again. So this thinking needs to become into AI because if you are and putting everything in the prompt as it is with the more MCP skills and all that, we're ready for that. So that thinking, but that will be the next wave of how do you implement sustainable AI solutions that doesn't consume everything and millions of tokens. So because currently the cost of it is not the one that drives it. It's fairly cheap. It's the sustainability of it. So yeah, it's good to have that thinking with it. Yeah. So next time I'm going to New Zealand, Australia, I'm going to take the boat. So I'm going
to. You can walk it. One question that's coming, Mats? How can people find an agency through Umbraco who can deliver these enterprise solutions? So, one, hopefully knock on our door, but if someone's looking for a partner to work with, how might they do that, Mats?
Do as everyone else. And we have quite an intense traffic. We have about 5,000 unique visitors per day, and the majority is visiting our partner pages, which we're updating, by the way. And that's where you could find our platinum partners, find the reference cases, your region. So that is important. And of course, you guys pops out there as being one of our prestigious partners. So that's the way to go at. We seldomly being asked. I think they have quite often a preference. If we do, we point them in that direction. So the gold partners and the platinum partners are the one with the most certified Umbraco developers, the longest history, done those projects, and they have the experience to do it. So that's the question to it.
Good man.
The
And
answer.
is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you wish I had done? I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah, it's again back to my good lookings, but how do I don't think so. I don't think so. There's no good conversations. We haven't talked too much about AI, but I think it's good in the background as it is. Don't hype it. It's we are always, it's proven that with new technology, we overestimate the short-term impact and we underestimate the long-term. And we've been over that hype now, and things gets into reality, and then it starts bits and bobs. So don't stress it, but don't.
Yeah, we're all definitely finding our flow, I think, with, even right down to how we code with AI, what we give up over to AI to do, how we review it, how it, improves quality, rather than, getting it to produce the old slop from the vibe coding. That, all got excited that we could do a little prompt, and build out a website that exposes all our personal information to the world. But we're all now, I think, finding a nice flow of how it's can benefit us rather than.
One thing I reflected on yesterday was that the word illusional is a standard word we talk about now. They go illusional. They start to hallucinate. Hallucinate. Thank you. English is my second language. So hallucinate. How do we have because what you do, you bring them in as a co-worker, right? You talk about that. We're not going to employ any more physical people. We're just going to have AI people or AI agents to do our work. When did we accept to have people that we employ that do work, that we fully accept that sometimes that you start hallucinating? When does that get acceptance? And when you start AI doing very prestigious and important decisions, business decisions along a workflow, that you accept them to be hallucinating and going completely lost on the track, that's where we think, maybe this is not a little bit premature, right? So there's more to come. This will be a game changer, but it won't go in 6 months. Yeah.
But you mentioned Co-Garden, and there might be a number of people here that have not experienced Co-Garden yet. It is definitely an experience that I'd recommend. But do you want to just quickly explain what Co-Garden is? Because I should imagine, there is going to be loads of information on AI there, but can attend. What is it?
No, but that Co-Garden is our investment, and honestly, being 170 people company, we shouldn't be able to pull such an event together. But I have an event team. Steph is running that. You've seen some of the videos of it. It's just a tradition where we do it. It is just. I had my first Co-Garden last year, and I started in September, so I missed out the one in 2024. And that was the question I got all the time: have you been to Co-Garden? Have you been? Oh, you should see that. And being there, I realized that it's true that one of our partners in the US said that Co-Garden is, from his perspective, the most informative and best event to go to, both from a professional perspective and from a personal perspective, from a formal and informal perspective. We line up speakers. We have 25% more speakers. There are 4 tracks now in there, so it's fully out professional, but it's also a lot of fun in between. And Thursday evening, where we have our dinner, we had 750 people sitting in a 3-course menu with an entertainment and an atmosphere that was just, I was blown away, to put it that way. This is the magic of Umbraco. I can only, and I promise you, it will be the same parts of it. You could see it in our P&L. We are growing our profitability, not a lot because we invest in, and then Co-Garden comes, and then we're trying to catch up. So we get back on above the surface, but it's a major investment we do. The only thing that I can mention here, which I'm a little bit bitter about, I spent a lot of time invested into giving a presentation to start of it. For those that were, I did a coding on the stage and all that. I made the thing. It resonated. I connected with all the developers in there. And then when the YouTube comes out with all the speeches, I'm not there. And what happened to me? And they go, oh, he's here now. Oh, Jesus, no, sorry for that. But it didn't make sense, Mats. So if there's anything I can promise, there will be a slightly bitterness. I haven't figured out yet how it's going to be, but I'm going to refer to that. This year, I'm not going to be cut out. That's not me. I don't know.
We'll make sure of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be cut out. Yeah.
Well, look, we're looking forward to Co-Garden. It's definitely a highlight of the year. And look, you've been fantastic today. Thank you very much for your time. There are a few more questions that we might not have been able to get round to, but we will try and contact people individually. If anyone out there that's been listening to this does have any projects coming up that they want to talk about, if they've got any questions, you're always welcome to get in contact with us at Fresh Egg. And also, there is always a door open at Umbraco. If there's any projects that you're looking at that you want the support, speak to us, agencies, and there is always a door open at Umbraco. But thanks very much for your time today, Matt. It's been brilliant to catch up, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. Take care.